Most of us are wild and crazy about cheese, whether it's on pizza and a sandwich or all by its lonesome. That's what we're going to talk about today with Bridge City News and Jaco Beyer with Crystal Springs Cheese, a cheese factory located just north of Lethbridge. Welcome to Bridge City News.
Nice to talk to you.
Let's talk a bit about Crystal Springs Cheese, your factory. How did it come to be, Jaco?
Well, our family started milking cows in 2000. We started with a small dairy, about 30 cows, and my dad kind of built it up from there. And then in 2005, my parents realized that there was an opportunity. We had seen an ad in a local Milking Times magazine that said cheese plant for sale. So they explored it, and in the end we ended up buying the operation from a gentleman out in Bluffton and moved the operation down to Lethbridge. We built a new facility and pretty much took over the equipment and started production 1 mile east of Park Lake. Yeah, and the first few years we spent making mostly feta and Gouda. Mostly feta cheese, about 95%, and then some other Gouda on the side. And then, we were working on expanding our customer base coast to coast, working on building up sales and establishing customers. So then the whole family is involved. Dad is obviously the founder, and he started it all.
Sure.
And
how many family members are we talking about?
There's 5 siblings and my dad.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So my brother Harvey and I, myself, we run the cheese plant, make the cheese and run the day-to-day operations.
How many times are you popping in samplers throughout the day? Like, oh, this is
all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. Especially when we make the cheese curds. It's
you guys are cheese heads over there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, gotta love it. The cheese curds.
Gotta make sure it's good, right?
Yeah, that's right. Now you've won some awards along the way too. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah. So in 2014 we received an award for the best feta cheese in Canada, and that was at the Great Canadian Cheese Awards in Ontario. And this year we were runner-ups with our goat feta again. And our cow feta came in 3rd place, so we're finalists on both of our fetas. So we continue to do that every year. We try to enter a contest here and there and see how she goes.
So where do you get your goat milk from? Is it from local producers here in Alberta, or is it, now that the dairy markets open up considerably thanks to the federal Liberal government, are American producers now starting to pop up?
Goat milk would be not really applicable to that because it's free of the quota system. So it's a totally different system, and goat milk is a very spotty thing, so you wouldn't want to transport it too far because most farmers are already holding their milk for a number of days before it's picked up because goats give so much less. So our milk comes from a local farmer right in Pictou Butte, actually, so it's about 5 minutes from our plant is where we pick up our milk.
So you make cheddar, you make Gouda, Havarti. What's the most popular?
From those, the cheddar cheese is probably the most popular because we age it out for 1 or 2 years, and we don't put any color or anything in there, so it's a very clean looking and it's nice tasting cheese. And we've been working on our Gouda. We've been trying to improve it over the years. It's tough to make it nice and moist like the Dutch stuff. Ours ends up being a little bit drier all the time. So I've been trying to tweak the recipe over the years and trying to getting help from other people in the industry to fine tune that recipe.
So how does when you age cheese then, how does it really change or alter the taste? Let's say cheese that's maybe 5 or 6 years old compared to freshly made cheese.
So it gets drier, right? The cheese, when it ages, it loses moisture, and it converts the lactose into acid, right? So it's slowly becoming drier, and eventually it'll get crystallized, like in cheddar. Like an older cheddar will start having some crystals in there. And especially with some of the cheeses that are aged with either a dry rind or a wax coating, it'll actually allow moisture to escape. So if you start off with, say, a 5-kilo wheel of Gouda cheese and you age it for 2 years, you're going to be down to less than 4 kilos 2 years later. All that water is getting out and all the good stuff is staying in. So
and where's that wheel? I thought you were going to bring a couple of wheels here for us to enjoy.
Yeah, they're still in the car.
They're still in the car. We'll talk later. We'll talk in a few moments.
Make a deal.
Here. Now, you opened up a retail cheese store and a cafe. How successful, how popular has that been so far, Jaco?
It's been really good. Yeah, we opened in December of 2018. The 15th was a grand opening day. We had a great turnout, much more than we possibly could have hoped for. The parking lot was crowded and there's people parking on the roads, and we had our plant open. People could come to watch us make cheese and walk through the plant. We showed everybody what was going on. We had a food truck there with piggyback poutineery. We were serving up poutines. So that was really nice. We got a lot of people we got a lot of people informed about us. And then the week after that was nice and busy as well. Right before Christmas, we had 20 to 30 customers come in every day, and it's been nice.
Well, I guess maybe the European influence of flavor that we have here in Lethbridge kind of helps as well, because a lot of Germans, Dutch,
Exactly.
Brits, I mean, love their cheese, right?
Yeah.
And French love cheese.
Yeah, and they love seeing something that's different and local. A lot of people love local.
Support local businesses, right?
Yeah.
Now, what about fresh-made cheese as opposed to cheese that's packaged over a long period of time? How does that alter the taste?
Well, you can definitely taste fresh, right? It's especially true with our cheese curds that we make, because the curds are made on Thursdays, for example. We start production at 8 o'clock, and that milk is from the morning milk. So it's only like an hour old, the milk. And by 1 o'clock, we're making the cheese curds. So, and then by 3 o'clock, they're on the shelf. So milk that didn't even exist that morning is on the shelf by 3 o'clock. So, and when you're looking for a cheese curds, you want that squeak when you eat it, right?
Yeah.
And when you get a curd that fresh, it really squeaks.
We touched a little bit earlier on aged cheddars, aged cheese. Where do you actually store them, for so many years? Let's say aged cheddar that's 6 years old.
Our cheddar we store just in refrigeration. We vacuum seal the cheddar, and we just let it sit there in big 40-pound blocks. Let it sit over time and age. The Goudas are on shelves. They are not vacuum packed. They are smeared with a wax coating. So it's not a paraffin wax, so it's not 100% sealed. You put it on with a sponge when it's in a liquid state, and 4 layers per side of the cheese.
Yeah.
And it just over time it allows moisture to escape. Every day the cheese needs to be turned. Every couple days the cheese needs to be cleaned, and it just keeps getting.
Well, how do you clean the cheese?
With a little bit of water and vinegar.
Okay.
Yeah, water with just a splash of vinegar, just to get to clean it off.
Okay.
And if you turn them good every day, it's very minimal washing. But because the moisture is coming out of the cheese, if you let it sit there, it'll actually start molding underneath the cheese, right? So it needs to be cleaned all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
What about some of the interesting flavors, unique flavors that you have? Is like hickory smoke? What types of smoky flavors
We
do
do
you have?
bacon smoked.
Oh, bacon smoke.
Oh,
That
yeah.
would be good, yeah.
So it's a cheddar cheese with bacon in it,
Okay.
and then we hickory smoke it.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, that's one of the ones. And we have applewood smoked cheddar.
Okay.
That's just a plain cheddar with applewood smoke on it. And we have a hickory smoked Gouda as well. And we have a lot of other flavors. We have sour cream and onion Gouda. We have jalapeno. We have habanero. We have Italian
How about
flavored.
dill pickle?
We have dill pickle.
You do?
We do actually have dill
Oh,
pickle.
that's amazing. I love dill pickle. That's
Yeah.
great. How about the actual process of making the cheese, Jaco? What does that look like? How long does it take?
It usually takes between 4 to 6 hours for the production side of things, and that's when the cheese is taking shape. From that point, you got to do all your other stuff like cutting down or aging, whatever else you're going to do with it. So most of the time, it starts the same. You start with a vat full of warm milk, about 30 or 31 degrees. That warm milk gets cultured, so you put a live culture in there, and it's ripened for anywhere from half an hour to an hour and a half to start developing acidity. Once it's reached the right stage, we put in rennet or microbial enzyme, whichever cheese it is. This that turns the whole vat hard. It just hardens the whole cheese vat into one solid, massive, uncut cheese.
Okay.
And then we let that ripen for anywhere from half an hour to an hour. Then we cut it down with the cheese knives. Sometimes we go pea-sized pieces, sometimes we go 1-inch square pieces, depending on what kind of cheese it is. And once the cutting is down,
Which cheese cuts the best, cuts the easiest right now?
well, at that stage, it's pretty close to the same.
Is it? Okay.
Because it's just like the different types of cheese are kind of determined later on, whether you drain some whey off or you leave the whey in and cook the cheese with the whey in there. So once the cheese curd is cut, that's when you branch off and you go in a different way. Like cheddar has a specific method, Gouda has a different method, Havarti has a different method. Every cheese has a different method, right? And in the end, it's the method of making is what determines most of the cheese.
So how much milk do you use annually then?
We use about 2.5 million liters right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the industry standard, like for a company your size?
Well,
or do you use more milk than other companies?
We use a little bit more than some of the really small operations that are just running off their own farm, but we're nowhere close to any of the big players.
Some manufacturers as well, Jaco, they add a little bit of color. How does that impact the flavor of the cheese?
Has absolutely no impact on the flavor.
Oh.
It's just a marketing strategy because over the years, nobody knows quite for sure. Even if you look it up on the internet, you'll see nobody knows the direct answer, but it's because people assume that cheddar should be orange. That's why they keep making it orange.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's just an annatto seed. It's flavorless, really. It's not necessarily harmful, but we don't see the need for it, so we don't put it in. Keep our cheese white.
Well, you know, there's a rumor as well when it comes to hot dogs, they're actually green when they're put together, and they add a little bit of red dye to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing to look at, right? So how hard is it then for a small business like yourself to compete with some of the big boys when it comes to cheese?
It's pretty tough, especially with the specialty cheeses like, or not specialty, but everyday cheeses like cheddar and mozzarella. For example, when we make a batch of cheese, we make it 1,400 liters at a time, which gives us about 150 kilos of cheese. When the big guys are doing it, they're working with 25,000 liters at a time.
Wow.
And getting almost 3,000 kilos of cheese, and doing very little man hours with it because most of it's automated. And they do this 10 or 15 times a day. So it's they only need to make pennies per block in order to make it work, whereas we obviously can't do that.
Crystal Springs uses a type of milk called A2 in some of your cheeses. Can you explain to our viewers what exactly that is?
Yeah. So as everyone knows, milk is a good source of protein. It contains 8 grams per 8-ounce glass. And the two major proteins in milk are casein and whey. So casein accounts for about 80% of the protein in cow's milk. And A1 and A2 are the two variants of the beta casein. Historically, cows produced milk that contained only A2, form of beta casein. And then somewhere along the line, about 1,000 years ago, maybe more, there was a genetic mutation, and some of the milk became A1, especially in breeds like Holsteins and some of the higher producing breeds. When you consume A1 milk and you have sensitivity, you'll have symptoms such as stomach discomfort, bloating, diarrhea, right, when you consume dairy products, right? And sometimes it's a lactose intolerance issue, which is not the same. But sometimes it's just a protein sensitivity issue, and that's when the A2 comes into effect.
I was going to say lactose-free cheese. Do you have that as well?
Yeah, we do actually have that, because Gouda is any cheese that's aged, and the traditional way with no film seal or anything, the lactose is actually, most of it is eaten up by the aging process, and the rest escapes with the water. But with coming back to the A2 thing, so the A2 has a different protein structure than A1. So there's a different chain of acids in there, and when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, the A2 is more easy to digest for people that are sensitive to milk protein.
Right. Now, I understand you're also going to be expanding a little bit into the yogurt and sour cream market. Tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, so as of March 2, we hope to take over the operations of Blesswold Yogurt, which is another family-run operation up in Lacombe, Alberta.
Okay.
And
north of Red Deer, I know the area.
Yeah. So we are very excited about this, and for us, it works quite well with what we're doing right now. It's another farm-made operation integrating into our own. So we're going to be very excited to launch some yogurts.
Well, how about the different varieties of yogurts and sour cream that are available right now?
Okay, so we'll be doing the 2% stirred yogurt, which is your plain everyday yogurt, in 175 grams, 650 gram, 2.5 kilo, and 4 kilo sizes. And the flavors that we will have is plain French vanilla, key lime, apricot mango, peach, strawberry, raspberry, blueberry, and fieldberry.
That sounds really good.
And then we'll also.
But again, no samples here today.
We'll have to see.
No, that's right. We'll have to bring you back, right?
Yeah, and then we have a 10% Greek yogurt as well, in 500 gram size, and that one is plain vanilla honey, strawberry, and coconut. Oh. And then we do that one in 4 kilo size as well. And then we have the raspberry and mango, 2 different ones, yogurt drinks, like the Yop drinks. Yeah. And we also do a sour cream, 18%.
Wow, okay.
So a nice line of products right there.
Have to check it out. Looks like a lot of fun and very tasty. Jaco Beyer, Crystal Springs Cheese, thanks a lot for joining me in studio today.
Thank you.
And on behalf of all of us here at BCN, I'm Hal Roberts. God bless and have a great night.